Hello? Hello? Please, I know you can hear us. We are trapped here in the spaces between worlds. It is a wonderful yet terrifying place, and only our voices escape. You can help us. You can let us in before we go mad.
The box. The emergency siren screeched. I ran to the box and squeezed in. It was tight and my claustrophobia kicked into high gear. The heavy metal door swung shut. My breathing accelerated and my mind hazed over with anxiety. It'll be over soon, I thought. It's probably just another drill or false alarm. I took a sip from the water tube and waited. Minutes turned to hours, but the alert system never issued the all clear. My finger hovered over the door release button, but I dared not press it. Only gruesome death waited outside the confines of my metal coffin. All I could do was stay hydrated and remain patient, just as the manual had instructed. I entertained myself by humming songs. I continued this until my panic subsided to a dull roar in the back of my mind. I ran through all the songs I could think of until I started repeating them. Then I sang out loud. It was nearly impossible that anyone could hear my off-key performance, so I belted them out as loudly as I could stand until my voice grew hoarse and boredom invaded me. I tried to come up with my own songs, but I lacked the musical skill. The lyrics that I came up with were flat and uninspired. I decided to try meditation, another suggestion from the manual. I focused on my breathing. I took in air through my nose and exhaled out my mouth. My mind careened like a pinball, flinging off flippers, bouncing on bumpers, passing over neon lights and slingshotting out of kickers. My lack of discipline suited high-octane pursuits and failed at calmer endeavors. The biggest effect of my attempted meditation proved to be a heightened sense of nervousness. Why is it taking so long? Is this the real deal? It should already be over. I shuddered at the thought. I became highly aware of how uncomfortable I was. Darn shelter. Why did they make it upright rather than on its side? I shifted back and forth. I crouched as far as I could and rested my knees and back on the walls. Nothing worked. The hard metal pressed into my skin and was worse than just standing. I finally found a modicum of relaxation by straightening my legs, pressing my feet to one side, and leaning on the other. It paled in comparison to a comfy bed, but was enough that I dozed off. I woke up to pangs of hunger. My stomach felt like it was imploding. I sipped at the water tube. I regretted not shilling out for the nutrient option on my box. The water helped a bit, but my stomach sloshed around in a grotesque way. It begged for something of substance. I ignored its insistence. After a time, the hunger faded. I almost missed its absence. Now, only mundanity and exhaustion filled my existence. I slurped at the water tube with random rhythm. I tapped at the metal wall. I ran my sleeve over my teeth to clean the fine film that had formed on them. All these actions served as a thin barrier to the impending madness. I heard a noise that sounded like waves crashing across a beach. It accompanied the moving air that flowed forward and backward, forward and backward. I did not believe in ghosts, but it felt like someone or something was watching me. I couldn't ignore the sounds around me. Darkness prevented me from seeing anything, but still the noises and sensation prevailed. If I was haunted, the specter refused to show itself. Another emotion struck me between fits of unconsciousness. I felt good, euphoric even. I didn't care about what was happening outside. It all seemed foolish. All the death and destruction that was surely devastating the world meant nothing to me. I was floating. I was nirvana. I was heaven. I saw patterns of purple and blue, pearl and viridian. These tesseracts oscillated through my vision. They intensified when I closed my eyes. They consumed my being. I was less a human and more a series of four-dimensional shifting shapes. It did not last. Soon came the shadows. At first they hovered near the edges of extraordinary color. Then they closed in. I saw them everywhere. Dark faces peered out at me from within sheer walls. Their hands pressed through the metal and brushed over my clothing, skin, and even grazed the internal workings of my body. All I could do was cower in fear. As disturbing as these shades were, the outside world was even more terrifying. I dared not press the button. Eventually, even the shadows grew bored of my inactivity. They faded away. Mundanity returned as a rushing wave of nothingness. Darkness and silence prevailed over the fear. I drank absent-mindedly from my water source, awash in absolute deprivation of external stimuli. Mostly I missed social interaction. I would even have endured the horrendous experiences of working a job in the supermarket again, just to speak with another living soul. I talked to myself. I held entire fictional conversations. I scratched at my arms. My nails had grown long, and the pain reminded me that I was still alive. I gouged at my forearm until I felt the warm trickle of blood running down. It should have hurt, but it felt good. I scraped in my scalp. I tore into my face. It mattered little. The box kept me safe from further damage. Insects fluttered in my shoes and up my pants. What? How? Darned discount shelter can't even keep the bugs out. I kicked my shoes off and dropped my pants. I stomped with only my socks, and miraculously I wasn't stung or bitten. I doubted the effectiveness of the shelter. How can it protect me if it can't even keep out these pests? I thought. I considered pressing the button. Maybe they already called the all clear and I didn't hear it. But that isn't possible. I need to get out. Will I die? If I do, would it be so bad? I pondered. The manual stated to stay in the shelter until given further instruction. I couldn't bring myself to press the button. Something weird was going on out there. The metallic interior of my box flowed like liquid. It took on the properties of an ocean. Ceiling, floor, and walls gyrated like fluctuating tides, crested and rippled with motion. Bizarre alien sea life swam past me. There were tumorous whales, mutated dolphins, malformed fish, and bright luminescent blobs of conjoined jellyfish. Slow, pale coral crept up my calves, and massive wriggling barnacles buried themselves in the flesh of my face and chest. I screamed in pain and shock. Electricity rippled through my body. Tiny wart-covered sharks swarmed around me. They carved ribbons off my skin. I had to get out. No, the manual said to stay put, I argued with myself. But the manual didn't cover this. I pressed the button. The door swooshed open. What I saw outside, I can't even begin to describe properly. A hazy red sun pitched over a cosmic rainbow of carnage. It was oblivion. It was eternity. It was life. It was death. And it was far worse than anything in my shelter. I closed the box and took an absent-minded sip from my water tube.